Welcome back to the deep dive. Usually when we sit down here, we are, unpacking these massive, sprawling topics.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
done the future of AI, we've done geopolitical shifts, we've even done the history of supply chains.
Yeah,
We're sort of used to complexity.
right.
But today, we're doing something arguably much harder. We're
Mm.
going back to zero. We are dismantling the atomic unit of human existence.
It sounds so dramatic when you frame it that way, but you're absolutely right. We are looking at the daily routine.
And I could just hear people listening right now thinking the daily routine. I know how to brush my teeth. I know how to make toast. Why do I need a deep dive on this?
Mm-hmm.
But we have this amazing source text here from the Mr. English channel. And it features two speakers, Emily and Paul. On the surface, it looks like a simple transcript for A1 English learners.
It is. It's beginner stuff.
Exactly. But our mission today is to treat this text like a biological specimen. We want to see how language encodes our reality from the moment we open our eyes to the moment we close them.
And that is absolutely the right approach.
Right.
Because if you're learning a language or, even just trying to communicate more clearly, you don't start with abstract philosophy.
Yeah.
You start with the concrete. This document is a blueprint. It contains what linguists call high-frequency verbs. If you can master the logic in this short text, you can describe, roughly 80% of your waking life.
That is a huge claim, 80%.
Well, think about it. Most of our lives aren't spent negotiating treaties or discussing quantum mechanics.
Unfortunately, no.
They're spent eating, moving, working, and cleaning. This text provides the code for those actions. If you can't navigate the narrative of a single day, you can't navigate the language.
So just to set the ground rules for today, the content we're analyzing is simple. It's for beginners. But our analysis is going to be deep. We're going to strip this down to the studs. We're looking at how Emily and Paul connect their actions, the logic.
The sequence, the subtle differences in their lifestyles. Precisely. And a quick disclaimer for everyone listening. We're going to stick strictly to the context of the daily routine found in this source. We want to make sure that for any self-taught students tuning in, we aren't confusing the issue with outside idioms or slang.
Right, keep it clean.
We're looking at the pure functional language that Emily and Paul give us. We want to keep the analysis accessible, even if the concepts themselves are pretty deep.
Okay, let's do it. Let's unpack this.
Yes.
Section 1, the awakening. We have our two subjects, Emily and Paul. So let's look at the data. Where does this simulation begin?
It begins with the first verb, wake up.
Wake up. It seems straightforward enough, but immediately, like right out of the gate, we see a divergence in the data points in the text. Emily tells us she usually wakes up around 7:00.
Right. And then you have Paul. He says he sometimes wakes up a little earlier, around 6:30. Now, what's interesting is how the text treats this difference. Emily immediately applies a label to him.
She calls him an early bird.
An early bird, yeah.
I see this idiom everywhere. But is it just about the numbers on the clock? Like if I wake up at 6:55, am I an early bird? Or is there a cutoff?
It's not just about the specific minute, it's more of a cultural value judgment. In English, being an early bird is almost always seen as a positive thing. It implies industry, proactive energy.
The early bird catches the worm.
Exactly. The text is subtly teaching us that rising early is a virtue in this linguistic culture. It characterizes Paul as someone who's, eager to start the day.
But then we hit a mechanical distinction that I think really trips up a lot of people. You have wake up, and then you have get out of bed. The text treats them as two totally separate events.
Because they are separate events. Wake up is neurological. Your eyes open, you're conscious.
Right.
But you're still horizontal. You're passive. Get out of bed is physical. It's the transition from passive to active. It's the first real choice of the day.
Emily actually flags this in the text herself.
Yeah.
She says, and I'm quoting here, get out of bed is a very important phrase. Why would she highlight that specific phrasal verb over just waking up?
Because it represents the first hurdle. You can be awake for an hour and still be in bed, right?
Oh, definitely. Doom scrolling, staring at the ceiling.
Exactly. Getting out is the commitment to actually start the routine. And linguistically, it's a phrasal verb get plus the preposition out. It implies you're exiting a container. You are physically leaving the comfort zone of your bed to enter the world.
That makes perfect sense. It's the first action that requires real effort. Okay, so once they've exited the container of the bed, the source gives us a very strict flow chart. It seems non-negotiable.
It is.
The text says they go to the bathroom.
It's the universal first stop.
Yeah.
And notice the sequence of actions that happens there.
Brush my teeth, wash my face.
Yep.
Is the order important here? Or is it just a list of things you do in the bathroom?
Oh, the logic is structural. You go to the location first.
Yeah.
You can't perform the action without the setting. So step 1 is destination, bathroom. Step 2 is action, brush, wash.
Okay.
But look closely at the possessives. They don't just say brush teeth. They say brush my teeth.
That seems a little redundant, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, whose teeth would you be brushing? You're not brushing your neighbor's teeth.
It implies a very specific worldview. In some languages, you might just say brush teeth because the context makes it obvious. But English is very ownership heavy.
Ownership heavy. I like that.
Yeah, you constantly reaffirm possession of your body parts. It's my face, my teeth. It reinforces the individual's role in the routine. You're maintaining your personal vessel.
So we have the location, the action, and the possession. Go to the bathroom, brush my teeth. It's a formula.
Exactly. And both speakers, Emily and Paul, they both use it. That repetition tells the learner, do not deviate. This is the script. This is how you say it.
Okay, so hygiene is done. The system is online. Now it needs fuel. We move to section 2, the kitchen.
We leave the hygiene zone and we enter the nourishment zone. This is our first major location shift of the day.
And here is where I want to stop on the verbs, because this is something that always confuses me about English. They use 2 different ones for the same event. They say make breakfast, and they say have breakfast. Why not just say eat breakfast?
This is a fantastic question, and it's a distinction that really separates a beginner from an intermediate speaker. Make is the labor.
The assembly.
It's the assembly, putting the bread in the toaster, boiling the water for coffee. Have is the experience. You don't usually say, I eat breakfast in natural conversation as much as I have breakfast.
Why is that?
Have implies the entire event. It's the time spent sitting down, not just the mechanical act of chewing and swallowing.
So having breakfast encompasses the whole scene.
Right. It includes the sitting, the drinking, the eating, maybe reading the news on your phone. It's the possession of that time block. You have that time.
Let's look at the menu, because the text gets very specific here. Emily has coffee and toast, sometimes fruit. Paul has tea and cereal.
Classic pairings, liquid and grain. It's the standard Western breakfast archetype.
But look at the modifiers they use. Emily calls her breakfast simple and delicious.
Simple I get. Coffee and toast is the definition of simple. It's efficient.
But delicious adds a layer of gratitude, doesn't it? She isn't just refueling the machine, she's actually enjoying it.
It creates a positive association with the routine, which is a great thing to teach. And notice the specificity about the fruit. She doesn't just say fruit.
No, she says a banana or an apple.
Right.
Why does that matter? Why not just say, I eat some fruit?
Because specificity grounds the listener. If she just said fruit, it's abstract. Your brain has to do work to imagine what kind of fruit. Banana is concrete.
It creates an immediate mental picture.
Instantly. It helps the learner visualize the reality of the routine. It teaches us that in English, we often prefer the specific noun over the general category. It makes the story more vivid.
And Paul's a tea drinker. He mentions cereal.
Which frames him as maybe a bit lighter, maybe quicker in the morning.
Yeah, cereal's fast.
Cereal is the fastest breakfast. You pour, you eat. It fits his early bird efficiency perfectly. No cooking required.
So they are fed. Now comes the armor. Section 3, preparation and departure. We're talking about getting dressed.
And there it is again, a phrasal verb, get dressed. It implies a process of change, just like get up.
The source defines it simply as put on your clothes. And Emily breaks down the logic. First you choose the clothes, then you put on the clothes.
That mental step of choosing is often overlooked in these kinds of texts. but it's crucial. Strictly speaking, you can't put on what you haven't selected. It shows the cognitive load of the morning. You have to make a decision before you can take an action.
I want to ask about put on.
Yeah.
We often use wear and put on almost interchangeably in casual speech, but they're not the same in this context, are they?
No, not at all. They're opposites in terms of time. Put on is the action. It takes you, what, 5 seconds to put on a shirt? Wear is the state. You wear the shirt all day long. You only put it on once. The text focuses on put on because this is the routine, the sequence of actions. It's the movie of the morning, frame by frame.
We see this with the outerwear, too. Emily puts on her shoes and her coat. Paul puts on a jacket. But Paul adds a conditional here that I found really interesting.
Right. He uses the word if.
If he needs to go to the office.
This is our first clue that the modern daily routine isn't fixed. It's flexible. It's not the same every single day.
Exactly. His clothing ritual is dependent on his destination. No office, no jacket. It introduces the logic of cause and effect into the daily narrative.
And for a learner, this is huge. It moves beyond I do this, then I do this, to I do this because of this.
Eventually, regardless of the jacket situation, the departure happens. They leave the house, they go to work.
Directional movement. Origin to destination. Leave implies abandoning a location. Go to implies targeting a new one. Very clear, very simple.
Which brings us to section 4, the work environment. And this is where the text actually reflects the modern economy quite well. We aren't all just going to the factory anymore.
It really does. You have Emily in the traditional fixed location, the office, she commutes. And then you have Paul in the hybrid model, working from home, but sometimes going in.
But despite the different locations, the vocabulary converges on a couple of key points. They both sit at my desk.
The desk is the universal altar of work in this text. It doesn't matter if it's in a corporate cubicle or a spare bedroom. The posture is the same. Sit.
And the tool is the same. Work on my computer.
Note the preposition there, on. You work on a computer. You don't work with it like you would work with a hammer or with a colleague.
Oh, that's interesting.
You work on it like it's a landscape or a canvas. It suggests the computer is the environment where the work actually happens. It's a digital space.
That is a subtle distinction I've never thought about before. On, the computer implies we are inhabiting it.
Exactly. We're immersed in it.
Let's look at what I call the verbs of industry. What are they actually doing when they're on the computer? Emily is answering emails, writing reports, and having meetings.
Very standard corporate output. Communication and documentation. The verbs are answer, write, have.
Paul is writing articles, preparing lessons, and having online meetings.
So Paul's role is more of a creator. He writes articles, prepares lessons, but look at the meeting distinction. Emily defines a meeting as when people get together to talk. It's physical.
She implies proximity.
Yes. Paul, on the other hand, specifies online meetings.
It's a tiny detail, but for a learner, that one word is the difference between walking into a conference room and logging on to Zoom.
Precisely. And yet the core verb is the same. Have. You have a meeting, just like you have breakfast. It's an event you consume or experience. You don't do a meeting, you have one. It implies interaction.
So the morning grind is done. They've been on their computers. Now we hit section 5, the midday break, lunch.
The timeline pauses here. Lunchtime is the marker. It divides the day in two.
Paul gives us his menu again. A sandwich or a salad. He calls it light and healthy.
And there he is again, maintaining that early bird efficient persona. He's not having a heavy pasta dish or a steak. He's fueling up for the second half of the day.
Light implies he wants to stay alert.
Exactly. And the text presents the classic dilemma that we all face every day.
Bring lunch versus go out to eat.
This is more than just about food. It's about social dynamics and economics. Bring my lunch from home implies thriftiness, preparation. It connects back to the morning. You had to make it in order to bring it.
Right.
Go out to eat implies a break from the building, maybe socializing with coworkers, maybe spending money. The text gives the learner the language to describe both lifestyles.
It also changes the verb of movement. Bring means carrying something with you. Go out means leaving the location entirely.
Correct. One verb focuses on the object, the lunch itself, and the other focuses on the action of leaving.
But the break is finite. It has an end. And the text hits us with that reality check. Go back to work.
That word back is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. It implies a return to the previous state. The loop closes. You were at work, you left, and now you go back.
Until the final release. Section 6. The transition home. The verb phrase, go home.
And Emily calls it a great feeling.
I think we can all validate that data point. It doesn't matter how much you love your job. That feeling of going home just hits different.
It's the emotional peak of the routine. You're reclaiming your autonomy. The have to of the workday turns into the want to of the evening.
So how do they spend that autonomy? What are the want to activities? Emily relaxes on the sofa and watches TV.
Classic passive decompression. She's turning the brain off. Relax on implies weight, gravity. She's letting the sofa hold her.
Paul, however, he shifts gears. He listens to music. He even specifies relaxing music. Or, his alternative, he goes for a walk.
So Paul's version of relaxing is actually active. He's curating his sensory input with music, or he's moving his body. He calls the walk good exercise.
It's interesting. Emily's routine seems to be about stopping effort. Paul's routine is about changing the type of effort.
That's a really sharp observation. Both are valid ways to describe relaxing, but they use totally different verbs. Watch is visual consumption. Listen is auditory consumption. Go is movement.
Then we get to the evening meal. Cook dinner.
Again, the active verb cook. They aren't just heating up dinner or ordering dinner. The text shows them as active participants in their nutrition.
Paul mentions pasta or soup, but he adds this little detail. He likes trying new recipes.
And this reframes the chore completely. Cooking isn't just maintenance for Paul, it's a hobby, it's fun.
Right.
This teaches the learner that you can attach emotions to these verbs. Cooking can be fun, not just necessary. It adds so much color to the routine.
Speaking of necessary, we move to section 7, the chore that, let's be honest, no one likes.
Wash the dishes.
The inescapable task of cooking. You create the meal, you consume the meal.
You clean the mess. It's the cycle of life.
And Emily is very honest about it. She says, it's not my favorite activity, but it has to be done.
It has to be done. That is a passive construction expressing strict obligation. It's a vital concept for a learner. We don't do it because we want to. We do it because external reality demands it.
If you don't do it, you have no plates for tomorrow.
Exactly. Cause and effect.
Once the sink is clear, we get the final wind down. Evening leisure. Emily reads, talks to family, talks to friends.
Notice the shift in energy levels here. Reading, talking. These are low stimulation activities. She's not checking work emails. She's not running sprints.
No.
She's preparing her biological system for shutdown. Talking to family grounds her socially after a day of professional talk.
And Paul goes back to his music.
Consistency. It's his safe space, his method of decompression.
And then, section 8, closing the loop. We find ourselves back in the bathroom.
Brush my teeth again.
Paul mentions this specifically. It bookends the entire day. You start with it, you end with it.
And the host in the original text reinforces it as a good habit. It's interesting how language teaching so often doubles as moral or hygiene instruction.
Like a parent, yeah.
Brush your teeth is a command as much as it is a description. It reinforces the cycle, morning and night.
Finally, the timestamps. Paul goes to bed at 10:30 or 11:0.
And Emily?
A little later, around 11:30.
Okay, so let's look at the symmetry there. Paul wakes up 30 minutes earlier than Emily.
6.3 versus 7.0.
And he goes to bed about 30 minutes earlier.
11.00 versus 11.30. So their days are identical in length to shift it on the timeline.
Exactly. The duration of the routine is the human constant. The timing is the variable. We all have roughly the same amount of battery life in a day.
The text ends this section with this rapid-fire summary. Wake up, get out of bed, go to bed. It feels like a movie montage.
It's the narrative arc. Every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. The daily routine is just a micro-story. And the text lists the verbs in rapid succession to show the speed of life, how quickly it all goes by.
Now, before we finish, I want to talk about the last section, section 9, the meta advice. Because the text pivots here. It stops describing the day.
And starts describing how to learn to describe the day.
This is the strategic layer. This is where the text helps the student become the master of their own learning. Paul tells us to talk about your own day.
Right.
He means literally talking to yourself, right? Like out loud in an empty room.
Yes. Narrating your life in real time. I am making coffee. I am opening the door.
It sounds a bit crazy. I mean, if I walked into the kitchen and saw my roommate saying, I am toasting the bread, I'd be a little worried.
It feels crazy, but it's an incredibly powerful technique. It bridges the gap between thought and speech. Usually we think in abstract concepts. By forcing yourself to vocalize the verb while you're doing the action, you cement the connection.
You're not translating?
You're not translating from your native language.
Yeah.
You are labeling reality directly in English. You are attaching the word toast to the actual smell of the bread.
That connects the sensory to the linguistic. I
Yeah.
really like that.
Exactly. It's about embodiment.
And his second tip, write it down.
This is for memory retention. The text explicitly says writing helps you remember. It turns the audio information into visual data. Seeing the word sandwich written on paper activates a completely different part of your brain than just saying it.
But my favorite part is the emotional advice he gives. Don't worry if you don't know all the words.
Be patient.
Yeah.
That is the growth mindset in action. The text is acknowledging that this routine, while simple, is complex. You will forget the word for toothpaste or commute. And that's okay. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is communication.
Celebrate your progress.
Exactly. If you can say, I wake up and I go to work, you have already won half the battle. You are functional in the language.
So we have dissected the day. We've gone from the 6:30 alarm to the 11:30 lights out. We've looked at the verbs, the prepositions, the logic behind it all.
It's a journey we all take every single day. It's the universal human algorithm.
Let's run the code one last time, really fast. Just the core verbs. Let's hear the rhythm of the day. You start?
Okay. Wake up, get up,
Go. Wash. Brush.
make, have, eat,
Choose. Put on. Leave. Go.
sit, work, type, answer,
Break. Eat. Return. Go back.
go home, relax, watch, listen, cook,
Wash. Read. Talk.
brush again, go to bed, sleep.
It's so simple, but it's everything.
It really is.
It really is. Those 20-ish verbs, they run the world. If you stop doing them, civilization would pretty much grind to a halt.
And that is the big takeaway here for anyone listening. You don't need fancy, complicated words to tell your story. You need these foundation stones. If you can master the daily routine, you can master the narrative of your own life, you can explain who you are and what you do to absolutely anyone.
So here's our challenge to you. Don't just listen to this. Do what Paul suggested. Tomorrow morning, when you put your feet on the floor, say it out loud. I am getting out of bed.
Narrate your movie. Be the star of your own language learning film.
Start with the routine. The rest will follow. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Keep practicing. Bye for now.